welcome to another episode of Lindsay Talks Psych. Today, we are going to be talking about anxiety. Remember how I mentioned last week that some people might think that anger is a negative emotion and needs to be avoided at all costs? Well, sometimes people might feel the same way about anxiety. The truth is, like anger, anxiety is a normal and natural emotion. Anxiety is actually useful sometimes because it helps warn us when we might be in danger and can help us get away from the danger. Everyone experiences anxiety at some point in their lives. Perhaps you felt anxious before taking a test or going on a first date. Anxiety is a normal adaptive process that is key to our survival because, like I mentioned earlier, it helps detect any threats in our environment. We have many different parts of the brain. When we get anxious, the part of the brain that helps us think logically and clearly can start to shut down. When our rational or thinking part of the brain slows down, another part of our brain starts to become more active instead. The amygdala is called the emotional part of our brain. It helps detect fear and prepares us for emergencies. This part of the brain also takes care of the fight or flight response. So let's just say we're walking in the forest and all of a sudden a bear pops out in front of us. Our fight or flight response will decide whether we want to fight the bear or if we want to run away. We might notice that our breathing gets shallower, our heart rate gets faster, our pupils dilate, and our digestive system slows down. So when we feel threatened or anxious, our amygdala, also called our emotional brain, can respond irrationally. This means we might have a hard time thinking straight. When our emotional brain takes over, our logic can get suppressed. Sometimes our anxiety response can become too strong or problematic. This happens when our anxiety happens without any known danger to us. We are going to discuss more of what that might look like. Signs are the things we feel, think, say, and do when we are getting anxious. If you recognize your own personal signs of anxiety, you can start to notice when you are getting anxious. Signs of anxiety fall into 4 categories: physical, emotional, mental, and behavior. When we experience anxiety, our brains and body activate the flight or fight response, which was something we talked about a bit earlier. Some physical signs we might notice in our bodies include stomach pain, headaches, trouble sleeping, fatigue, increased heart rate, sweating, and/or muscle tension. Anxiety in its most basic form is a normal emotion that everyone experiences. Some additional emotions we might have when anxious may include feeling scared, worried, sad, angry, hopeless, dread, and/or feeling overwhelmed. Anxiety can come up when we think something bad is going to happen. When we think something could be a danger to us, our minds might consider the worst case scenario. Whether we realize it or not, it is common to have thoughts running through our mind when we feel anxious. The thoughts people have when feeling anxious are commonly referred to as worry. Some examples of thoughts we might have could be difficulty concentrating, our mind going blank, feeling out of control, thinking what-if scenarios, feeling like we're going crazy, or maybe we're asking ourselves, what is happening to me? Some behaviors we might do when feeling anxious could be avoiding places, yelling, or feeling an urge to do drugs to get rid of the anxiety. The behaviors we do whenever we are anxious are the result of what we feel in our body, feelings, and thoughts. So, if our body is sweating, or we have an increased heart rate, and we are feeling overwhelmed, we might want to hide or to avoid places. You might notice that a behavior we might do when we are anxious is to try an anxiety coping strategy, which is something we will talk about shortly. As we all know, COVID-19, also called the coronavirus, has been the talk of the town for a while now. COVID-19 is a brand new virus that makes people sick. Scientists and doctors believe that most people will be okay, but some people might get sick. People might get flu-like symptoms, which could be a fever or a cough, or some people might have problems taking deep breaths. Most people who have gotten COVID-19 have not gotten very sick. However, some people might get very sick, but most people get better. To prevent the spread of the virus, the government has been asking us to stay at home, which has changed a lot of our daily routines. Some stores have closed to help people make sure that they are safe and to help us stay away from large groups. But a lot of other stores are still open, like grocery stores, gas stations, and pharmacies, so that people can still go out and get food, medicine, and any other supplies that they might need. Earlier, we looked at some signs of what anxiety looks like. Because the coronavirus is being talked about so often, we might start thinking that we have COVID symptoms when maybe we actually don't. We could be feeling anxiety instead. Like we discussed earlier, anxiety might look like having a rapid heart rate, feelings of impending doom, feeling out of control, and wanting to avoid places. These types of symptoms are separate and might not indicate whether someone has COVID-19. As you can see in the middle of the picture, however, there are some similar symptoms between anxiety and COVID-19. It's important to let someone know if you are feeling sick with a fever or coughing so that you can get the help you need to make sure you can stay as healthy as possible. Breathing exercises can be a great tool to use if you are feeling anxious. One of the signs of anxiety I mentioned earlier was that some people might get shallow breathing. Doing breathing exercises can help to calm the fight or flight response we might be experiencing. To do 4-7-8 breathing, first breathe through your nose for 4 seconds. Next, try to hold your breath for 7 seconds. Afterwards, breathe out slowly through your mouth for 8 seconds. If you have trouble holding your breath for 7 seconds, you can try holding your breath for 4 seconds instead. You can also try other breathing exercises like the Lazy 8 breathing that I discussed on my video about anger. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Find ways to connect with people you care about. If you can't see someone in person, you can still reach out by phone, text, video call, FaceTime, or through messenger apps on social media. Limit exposure to news and social media. It's important to know what's going on with the world, but constantly checking for updates might make us feel more anxious. Many of us right now might have our daily routines messed up, and we might not know what to do with ourselves during the day, which could make us feel anxious. You can work towards making a new routine for yourself, and you can work with someone you trust to help make a list of fun activities and things you can do every day. This is one exercise that can be used to help our brains focus on the present moment and help stop our brains from wandering all over the place. To do this exercise, first find 5 things that you can see. Next, find 4 things that you can touch, 3 things you can hear. Next, find 2 things you can smell. And lastly, find 1 thing that you can taste. Give this exercise a try and examine how you feel after. Anxiety is a normal reaction to uncertainty and things that can hurt us. It's normal if you're feeling scared right now. We want everyone we love to stay healthy. It's okay to feel more anxious than we normally do. It's important that we are listening to the government on ways we can stay healthy by washing our hands, having a clean house, and practicing social distancing. If you are feeling worried, scared, or bored at home, let someone know. Talk to someone you trust. Even though you aren't seeing us in person right now, all of us are here to help each other because we are a team.